Dear God, as we gather this evening, this council asks for strength, courage, and wisdom. Thank you for this wonderful town we live in and the privilege that it is to serve them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We're going to call to order the August 16th meeting of the Mooresville Town Council. Gentlemen have had a chance to read the minutes of our previous meeting. I need a motion to either approve or amend the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Not everybody at once.
Motion to approve.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Aye.
Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Jeff, Greg, 5-0.
Little change to our agenda this evening.
First thing that we're going to address,
Yogi Berra once said it's deja vu all over again.
Yogi Berra once said it's deja vu all over again.
We're addressing the building downtown.
We're addressing the building downtown. We contracted at our last meeting someone to, a company to remove 1 and 3 East Main. The project started, great guns. Fence went up on time, started in, found out through the notification from the contractor himself that there were some discrepancies on his coverage, the levels of coverage that the town required in the contract. He came to us, was upfront, forthright with us, told Dave that he had trouble getting the coverage that the town expected of him, that he had signed the contract for. He has been working with a local insurance agent and seems to be making, getting some type of traction on getting that job done. At no point in time has he, and Dave, I kind of defer to you, at no point in time has he said, Uncle, has he said, I do not want to do this job, or I want to pull out of the contract. Is that correct? But it's also up to this council, because I'm sure everybody has been getting the same calls. Why aren't they doing anything?
Legal counsel has had this.
Legal counsel has had this since notification. I think Dave did a real good job of notifying legal counsel and making sure that they were aware and seeing what the town's options were. Ashley has been working on it, worked with Jewel and Cam, and the options were set forth. Maybe you ought to cover those. I know we had 3 options and a recommendation.
Sure, I'm glad to. Cam starts with town law. I had a good briefing with my colleague Ashley Olbrecht on this issue this afternoon. The contract does provide for termination without cause by either party on 30 days notice. It provides for termination with cause effective immediately on a notice to cease work on the project. So both of those are options, I think, available to you. Proceeding with work without the required insurance under the contract is certainly cause for termination. So that is something that you can consider if you choose to terminate one way or the other, whether without cause or 30 days notice or for cause. That should be done by motion and a vote by the council as to how to proceed on those options. And given the risks involved with the building and demolition work and adjacency to streets and other property, proceeding without the required level of insurance does certainly present risks to the town, so I think it's our recommendation that you consider terminating for cause. I know there's been some work in the background to secure the necessary insurance, so the degree to which you grant latitude and timing to become in compliance with the contract is up to you all, but I would say that should be in place before any further work is conducted.
Part of the conversation with legal was also, what do we do now? How do we, if we choose to terminate, that still doesn't get to the root of the problem, and that's getting the building down and removed. We had one responsive bid to the job when we requested bids. I think Dave has had one, if not more, contacts with companies that have said, hey, we could do that, but we didn't bid for this reason or that reason or whatever. the question was posed: Can we proceed? Given the fact that the project has started, there are some concerns with how far along the project had got and the stability, if it brought into question the stability of the structure as it stands. Has the integrity been compromised with what work has been done? That could create an emergency situation where if we have two, I think it was two responsive quotes.
Yeah, I'm glad to speak to that as well. There is a provision in the Indiana Code for procuring work that would be sort of the next contractor to take over the job site without having to go back through the bidding process and start over. That would involve the declaration of an emergency situation by the council, by motion and a vote. That would free up Dave or somebody in that role to solicit quotes or bids from at least two qualified potential contractors and make a selection on that basis without having to go back through all the specs and rebid the job. But it would require recognition that an emergency situation exists.
We struggled to get one. We struggled to get one bid when it says if we have two. What if we can't get two? What if we can only get one? As long as we can document that.
As long as you can document that you sought to, I think you would be in acting in accordance with the statute. If you contacted two companies that provide those kind of services, even if one declined to bid, you could choose the one that did send you a quote and move forward. Yeah.
And can we offer to them if we have two quotes? Can we offer to the lowest quote a contract that mirrors what we've already approved with another contractor? Can we have Dave offer that and get something done? Our next meeting is 3 weeks. We need to do something quicker than that.
Yes, you could, acting under that emergency declaration relative to the situation on the ground, yes.
Dave, I know you're not a structural engineer, but in your best opinion, is there a chance that the work that has been done could have compromised the integrity of what was left standing?
The roofing was left, side up, the roofing was left, the side up beams, truss beams were being removed from the structure. Truss beams removed from the structure.
I would mention that if that were to happen. I would mention that if that were to happen in the time between now and your next meeting, you would want to make sure that your meeting minutes for your next meeting reflected the solicitation of two quotes or bids and who was selected, so that you can ratify that action. I think that could move forward, but it should come back up on the next agenda to be documented in the minutes and ratified by the council.
And is a denial from a qualified contractor, would that satisfy a request?
Yeah, the statute requires solicitation of two quotes. So you have to ask at least two qualified companies for quotes. That's all it requires. It doesn't require you to get them, just solicit them.
It's two quotes going forward, even though we already publicly bid and received one, so it's two additional from.
Correct. Yeah, instead of rebidding, you're just
letting
there is a
Dave.
practical difference between bidding and soliciting quotes. Yeah.
Dave would just go to the contractors of his choice and try to get quotes in the second
It
stage.
probably won't count, but when
Now,
the tornado
it probably won't count, but when the tornado did occur, we declared a state of emergency then, but you would probably need a new resolution for right now.
I think you would, yes. I would advise a new vote relative to the current situation. It makes for much cleaner, because again, keep in mind this is an exception to the general procurement rules that would apply to the town. So let's make sure that that's done cleanly. So that State Board of Accounts on it later, that kind of thing. It's a clean record for that.
The first thing that we have to consider is, do we want to terminate do we want to terminate the contract immediately? That is one of the options. Legal counsel has advised that because the hearsay or third-party information is that they are trying to move forward, that the wheels of the insurance procurement are moving a little bit slow. So I assume that we can, per legal counsel, he said we could give them days, a day, 2 days, 3 days, before we say we got a problem, or we're going to terminate. We can make that determination that if we don't have documentation, if Dave does not have documentation in his office by noon, whatever day, that we officially tonight declare that that's the drop dead time, and the contract is terminated. I don't know if the council feels necessary to give this gentleman the option or the little bit of time to procure that insurance. I think that he assumed that his insurance covered everything that needed to be covered.
His limits
His limits are not high enough for what we set for. The certificate of insurance that he provided showed that they were, it did not show the dollar amount, it showed the insurance. And then when we, in trying to get the dollar amounts solidified, that's when he found out he did not have. I think his attorney had looked at the contract, and maybe even his insurance agent had looked at the contract prior to him signing it. Is that what was conveyed to you, Dave? So he was caught a little bit off guard. But his mistake is not our responsibility. The question is, do we terminate immediately, or do we give him a few days? Dave could still seek for quotes in those days, and I'm sure it's going to take him those days to do it. I don't know.
Do you have a thought as to what you think about this?
I'm nervous.
That's where I'm at. I mean, I'm kind of torn here. Yeah, and that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm kind of torn here. I mean, you're declaring the building has been compromised more than it already has been. It's a danger. He's declared it a danger, and now we've got a guy with not enough insurance. Do we shut the road down? I mean, last thing we want is a wall to fall on somebody walking down our sidewalk. You know, and I know they got the fence up and the boarding, but it's a pretty big wall.
have to take over his responsibility of the fence then.
Do what?
Like leave the fence in place and take that over.
Well, and
Get a contractor.
I think through the options that were given, I think the state does say that we'll have to pay him for what work he has done. He has completed. And if that's the fencing, then obviously we don't want him removing that fencing at this time. Now, I would imagine that's on a rental contract with something.
Has he given any sort of estimate of how long it's going to take to secure the insurance and whether or not he's being quoted and that kind of thing?
He's working with the local agent. He called this morning, and he's working with the local agent. He has found coverage, however, he's waiting on. Found coverage, however, he's waiting on paper from his current paper from that states that he's never had a claim agent. That states that he's never had a claim agent. But he never called me back today. Never called me back today to confirm that all that was in place.
So is this something that you think is a 24-hour? So is this something that you think is a 24-hour thing, or? Yeah.
The other contacts you've had, can they start right away? The other contacts that you have, could they start right away? The other contacts that you have, could they start right away?
I didn't know he could start right away, but he did state that he was waiting on another job, and he has time to do it. Did state that he was waiting on another job, and he has time to do it.
Yeah. Okay. You've done some picking, and it's kind of like you, they've done some picking, and it's compromised things.
Well, we have to, give them
So
24
will we have to,
hours,
if we
48 hours or something like
give
that?
them 24 hours or 48 hours or something like that, will we have to have a special meeting to approve the new contractor then? Or you can do it all, we can do everything we need to do tonight?
I think you can do everything you need to do tonight and in your next scheduled meeting through ratification and
So you could hire a new one, they can
Clear.
start.
So he could hire a new one, they can start before the next meeting
yes.
without having a special meeting.
Yes, if you did that, I think in your next meeting, you would want to recognize as part of your discussion, part of your agenda, what has transpired and likely at least consent to ratify the contract that was entered into in the interim.
Has anybody given
Elicit
you
at
a
least
bid
two.
yet,
Correct.
or-
Has anybody given you a bid yet at all, or an estimate, or will they
Verbal.
just, is this
I
just
reached
verbal
out to, verbal.
communication?
I reached out to guys south of here. He gave, just over the phone, casual conversation. He stated,
over the
yeah.
phone, casual conversation, he stated, yeah, I can
Job
come in and do it for that price.
to open up anyway.
Job to,
So I
to
would
open up
solicit from
anyway.
him and one other.
so I would solicit from him and one other.
I would think an agent could pull a loss history.
I would think an agent could pull a loss history.
How long should it?
I mean, it shouldn't take that long,
I
should
hate
it?
to delay it 2 or 3 more weeks or something.
I'd hate to delay it 2 or 3 more weeks or something,
No, I'm thinking days at the most, day or 2 days at the most, at the very most.
To put a finer point on it, that the contract provides if you're terminating for cause, that the termination for cause is effective upon the contractor's receipt of a notice to terminate, notice to cease services. So if you wanted to give the contractor time to sort out insurance, whether that's a day or 2 days or what have you, you could vote this evening to authorize council to issue a notice to cease services on effective a certain date in the future. And that would effectively allow that period of time to rectify the insurance. And if it's not cured, then you would have already rendered the necessary approval to issue that notice to cease.
In the meantime, let's say if we did it 24 hours.
in the
Dave could go
meantime,
ahead
let's say if we
and
did it
start
24 hours, Dave could go ahead and start soliciting other people in the time,
Other contractors.
or would he have to wait until the other contractor received the notice to start?
I guess what I'm saying is that. to me,
I guess
the
what
best
I'm
chance
saying
of
is
getting it
that,
down the quickest
to me, the best chance of getting it down the quickest is if this contractor gets his insurance tomorrow,
getting it in here,
as opposed to trying to hire a new one, getting them in here and getting all their insurance and doing all that,
But I don't want to delay it to the next meeting either.
But I don't want to delay it to the next meeting either.
You should know something in a couple of days, I would think.
Yeah.
The other thing that the council could do this evening is to recognize an emergency situation exists. And if the contract is terminated for cause by issuance of a notice to cease, then Dave could proceed with selecting an alternate contractor under that emergency status after soliciting 2 quotes and following the statute, which we're happy to guide him through, so that you wouldn't have to wait until the next meeting to then rectify that situation.
Again, we're at someone else's mercy. I think it's in the best interest of the town, the public safety, and moving forward. I think what we need to do is we need to terminate the contract because he does not have the insurance. The question is, do we want to give him until 5 o'clock tomorrow? Secure that. Notice will be sent out that at 8 a.m. Thursday morning is the cease and desist pending. I'm assuming it could be worded pending rectifying the insurance issues?
If he gets it at 4 o'clock
Or do we
tomorrow,
just, I mean, if he gets it at 4 o'clock tomorrow, but we've sent the letter out, does
can
it,
he say, hey,
does,
I got this insurance, I want to
can he say, hey, I got this insurance, I want to keep working?
out Thursday morning?
Or do we wait to send the letter out Thursday morning at 8 a.m.? Or whatever day?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I followed you would.
Well, you just.
You would want to make sure that the notice goes out after the deadline that you established.
After the deadline, okay. Well, that's not the way I took what you had said there earlier.
If you say.
Yeah, if you say you wanted to give the contractor until tomorrow at 5 p.m. to provide proof of the necessary insurance and be in compliance with the contract, you could vote as a council this evening to say, if we don't get to that point by 5 o'clock tomorrow, council is authorized to terminate the contract by issuance of a notice to cease after 5 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay, so you won't send him the notice till after.
It would only be after, correct?
And is email notification sufficient in the legal system?
It depends on what's in the contract, and off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but probably. Typically, we word contracts that way anymore. That electronic means is sufficient notice, and it establishes receipt. So
Can we request that the fencing be left in place for public safety in that letter of termination?
yes,
But we pay for the fencing, right? He's obviously paying for the fencing.
But we pay for the fencing, right? He's obviously paying for that fencing.
He's paying for the fence and we'll reimburse him because I'm sure he has a contract with someone that he's renting it off of. We will still owe him for the work that he has done.
correct.
Is there any penalty for the breach of contract or not?
Is there any penalty for the breach of contract or no?
Good question. We've looked at this issue. I have not reviewed the full contract. We could certainly look at what default remedies exist.
We wrote it, I would hope that it gives us a little bit of teeth.
Oh,
Yeah, I would anticipate that there's some remedy for default that could come into play here, but I'm not sure, as I sit here, what that would be.
Do we want to give a time frame?
Do we want to give a time frame, or do we want to make it immediate? It's up to this council.
I think if we give a time frame, we give a short time
I
frame.
think if we give a time frame, we give a short time frame, if any, no?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
I mean, hearing what I'm hearing, I mean, yeah.
I mean, hearing what I'm hearing, I mean, yeah.
What is that?
What is that?
I agree with that. I mean, hearing what I'm hearing, we have no choice.
I agree with that. I mean, hearing what I'm hearing, we have no choice, and the guy didn't have enough insurance, so.
Main artery through town. It's gotta be
I hate to do it, it's a main artery through town, but it's gotta be shut down.
Again, the question is, obviously, we need to terminate the contract. Do we terminate it now, or do we terminate it at a later date? Tomorrow at noon, tomorrow at 5, Thursday,
If we
Friday?
terminate it now,
It's
he
up to
gets
this council. We
insurance.
get
If we terminate it now and he gets insurance, then he can be considered in the two bids or two quotes.
I mean, he's set up and already working.
Yes.
I mean, he's set up and already working his equipment, Sheriff, you know?
Yes.
That's good.
I don't know, it's a disaster. I mean, it's working.
I don't know, it's a disaster. I mean, it's worse than the building, I think. Go, I don't care.
Are you able to call him and get an update? Are you able to call him and get an update? Do you have his number? I wonder if he can give you more information we don't have.
You want to step out?
That okay?
We'll move on with the, agenda and come back to that.
Okay.
For those of you who have a written agenda in front of you.
For those of you who have a written agenda in front of you, we're switching the Inliner Solutions agreement with the public hearing for the additional appropriation.
Public hearing for ordinance
This will be the public hearing for ordinance 8, 2022. I don't know that we have anyone signed up, do we, Jeff?
No sign up.
Is there anyone that wants to speak either for or against ordinance 8, transfer of fund or additional appropriation from our food and beverage line item into the appropriated line item of food and beverage? I need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Aye.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Dustin Gregg, 5-0. This is the ordinance. Can we pass on first reading if we suspend the rules?
Yeah, if you suspend the rules.
Next question to the council is, this is ordinance 8, so we do either have to have 2 readings or we suspend the rules and approve it on the first reading. So if we are going to suspend the rules, I need a motion to suspend the rules and pass on first reading. Otherwise, I need to just do nothing and we'll approve it at our second reading.
Motion to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 8-2022 on first reading.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Aye.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Dustin Gregg, 5-0. Need a motion to approve ordinance 8, 2022.
Motion to approve ordinance 8-2022.
Second.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Dustin Jeff, 5-0. Ladies and gentlemen, what we just did is we transferred a whole crap ton of money, $370,000 into our appropriated line item. What this does is this allows us to do the inlining, the steam in place lining of approximately a mile of sewer line that runs along the White Lick Creek. What would that be? The east fork of the White Lick Creek. We did transfer a little bit more than the actual bid was, and that was so Dave could also go ahead and contract and get some of the manholes spray lined to keep inflow and infiltration out of it.
Question, if that's not enough to do. Question, if that's not enough to do the manholes, can we do more?
We can additional appropriate more, but we do have some appropriated in that line item that has not been used. What we wanted to do was just leave that for any other projects, including additional ones. And when we made the additional appropriation, we tried to allow for enough to cover them, but we still have some in there. Ordinance 8 is written. Messed up here. Ordinance 8 is written. Public hearing. Tonight was the public hearing. There is one line item or one portion of it in the whereases. It has, the public hearing was held on August 2nd, and this is August 16th. That was a typographical error. I do want to make note of that. Does the council accept that correction in the ordinance?
Yes.
You need a vote.
Consensus?
Yes.
You need a vote.
Let's go ahead and vote on it.
So moved.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Aye.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Dustin Gregg, 5-0 on accepting the amendment. Going back to Going back to the next item is the Inliner Solutions LLC agreement. This has been through legal counsel numerous times. Back and forth. Everything appears to be in order and proper. Any comments on or questions on the contract? Need a motion to approve the contract.
Motion to approve the contract with Inliner Solutions.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Greg Dustin, 5-0. Dave, do you have anything to report to us?
Spoke with the contractor, he has still not received any information. The contractor, he has still not received any. He stated that the council feels, he stated that it's necessary to move on. That it's necessary to move on.
In the meantime, I do have the contract here, with the existing contract with the demolition contractor, so I looked at the default provisions and the remedies thereof. And effectively, it provides that the town can exercise any rights and remedies available to it or in equity. So if there were any costs outside of what you anticipated for that work that you were to incur, such as for fence rental or anything else in the meantime, then those would be potentially damages that you could seek from the contractor based on his breach of the contract.
What about your legal
So
fees?
something to evaluate.
What about your legal fees?
There would be ways to recover that.
What about your legal fees?
Depending on the claims, that you may be able to recover those as well.
When this started, all of this time as 1-3 East Main. Seems like more often than not we're getting into this where people sign contracts and then come back and tell us whether it's a roof or concrete or demolition. I guess the days of your word have passed. I need a motion from the council to obviously terminate and a time frame to do that in.
He didn't seem super committed to me with that, if that was his exact wording.
Motion to terminate immediately. Motion to terminate immediately.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Dustin, Jeff, 5-0. Motion to declare an emergency of the building to allow Dave to solicit 2 quotes and to move forward at, what's that word, post haste?
That works.
As promptly as he can. Yeah, there you go. Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion been made, do I have a second? Motion been made, do I have a second? Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Jeff, Greg, 5-0.
Tell the current gentleman that he is still in the running. Can we tell the current gentleman that he is still in the running if he gets the appropriate insurance? If he gets the appropriate insurance.
You can. I mean, I think that would. Now what happens is Dave, or I'm assuming, would invite bids from 2 contractors known to do this kind of work. This could be one of them, but the terms of the contract would likely remain the same. And we would certainly recommend the same levels of insurance that were in the initial contract. So it would require compliance with that before entering into a new contract, whether with the same contractor or another one.
And he would have to sign a new contract.
This evening then, or
And are you gonna send a notice this evening then, or?
We'll probably send it first thing tomorrow.
Okay.
Can you also send a contract to Dave that's fillable with the contractor name, the dollar amount, and all the other terms?
Yes, certainly.
Do we need to have a motion to make him signature on that contract, since we won't have or make me signature?
Yes, either one. I think that is a good clarification. If there's somebody willing to do the work that can comply with those terms, then to authorize execution of that instrument and authorize a signer, whether either one of you would be a good move, I'd say.
I'd feel better if you were to review it.
I'd feel better if you were to review it.
I know the contract's gonna be
Whatever.
basically the same language.
I know the contract's gonna be basically the same language, but I'd like him to submit his insurance prior to starting,
Which I thought he was-
Well, that's what I was.
which I thought he was
We
doing.
got a certificate of insurance. I've never seen a certificate of insurance with no limits on it.
Whether it's you or Ashley.
Right. I think we'd want to.
Whether it's you or Ashley, I
I
would
was just not sure what we received on this
You or
one.
Ashley.
Oh, I'm just saying whether it's you or Ashley.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll work closely with Dave on
Okay.
inviting those bids and making sure that's documented. And I think what remains also is to make sure that on the next meeting's agenda, 3 weeks from now, we have it in the minutes, the names of the companies that Dave contacts to invite bids and what transpired in the interim. And I think it's a good idea to go ahead and authorize execution of a contract on those same terms if you find another contractor, and/or at the next meeting you can ratify that contract as a council vote to say we ratify that action. That works too.
The contractor may be as apprehensive as us. I'd like to have a motion to allow Dave to enter into that contract on our behalf.
With attorney.
Yeah, they're going to write the contract.
Right.
So as soon as he gets the name and everything and the certificate of insurance,
Yeah, I just
they'll
want them
fax
to
it to them or
review
send
that
it
and
to
make
them.
Yeah, I just want them to
They'll give the
review that and
official-
make sure.
Yeah, they'll give the official okey dokey.
What a waste of time.
Can I have that motion? To authorize Dave to sign the signature on this one contract.
Move to authorize Dave to be signature on the contract.
Second.
Motion made, do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Greg Shane, 5-0. Dave, do you have any questions?
Do not, thank you.
Dave, do you have any questions?
Do not, thank you.
Item C, Verizon Wireless, Steve. Item C, Verizon Wireless, Steve Potter.
That's me.
Do we have, are you Steve?
I was asked to come and talk with the council, so maybe tell me what the questions are that
So maybe
I can
tell me what the
answer
questions
for you.
are.
Be happy to.
I can answer for you. Be happy to.
I think you passed out, you gave us some handouts, if I'm not mistaken. What the council had looked at was possibly cell phones for as corrective measures. Is this some type of the GSA contract? Is that like a state bid, or is that just all government
Currently
entities?
has
All
2 or 3
government in
accounts
the town
on that GSA
currently
account.
has 2 or 3 accounts on that GSA account.
Okay. Can you, with a phone, you know, you have voice services, data services, accessories. What would a phone bill be for someone that is going to use it to make phone calls, send
Well, they
text
would
messages, and look
Use a
up?
smartphone.
Well, they would
And we've got
use a
currently
smartphone.
unlimited everything
We've got
plan, unlimited
currently
minutes,
unlimited
text and
everything
data.
plan,
That's
unlimited minutes, text and data.
$47.75
That's
per line per month.
$47.75
One of the good
per
benefits of
line
the
per month.
contract is
One of the good benefits of
with
the
new
contract
phones, there
is
are every quarter free phones
with new
available.
phones, there are
for the
every
government
quarter
contract.
free phones
So
available.
currently
iPhone SE is a free phone.
iOS side. On the Android side, there's a Samsung
iOS side, on
5G
the
phone
Android
that's
side,
free.
there's a Samsung 5G phone that's free.
Good thing about this program, but on this program,
Is
there's
it's a
never
one-year
any early
contract, but
termination
on
or
this program,
cancellation
there's
fees.
never any early
So if you
termination or
needed
cancellation
phones
fees.
and 6 months
So
from
if
now
you
you decided
needed phones
not the
and
thing
6
you wanted
months
to
from
do,
now you decided
cancel those
not
lines,
the
there
thing
will
you
be
wanted to
no
do,
termination or
cancel those
cancellation
lines, there will be
fees.
no termination or
Another
cancellation
benefit of this
fees.
program is
Another
most
benefit of
business
this
and consumer
program is,
accounts,
most
phones are
business
only
and consumer
upgradable every
accounts,
2 years.
phones are only
These
upgradable every
phones and
2
lines
years.
can be
These
upgraded every
phones
10
and lines
months.
can be
And by doing
upgraded
that,
every 10
there's a
months.
year warranty
And by doing
on
that,
phones.
there's a
It
year
eliminates the
warranty
need of a
on the phones.
$5 or $6
It
or
eliminates the
$7
need
per
of a
month
$5 or $6
insurance
or $7 per month
payment on it.
insurance payment on it.
So there's a cost savings there.
So there's cost savings there.
But you said it's 47.
$48.75 per line per month.
$48.75
unlimited
per
everything.
line per month. That's unlimited everything.
And then is there a 25%
That is with this
off of that,
contract,
or is that after the
that's
discount?
That is with this
already
contract.
included. That's with the 25%
that's
discount.
already included. That's with the 25%
And
discount.
any phones that are purchased, you can get
And any phones
any
that
of
are
the new phones,
purchased,
iPhone
you can get
13,
any of
12,
the new
11,
phones,
or any
iPhone
of the
13,
Android
12,
phones.
11,
And
or
when
any
you
of the
purchase them, you're
Android
purchasing them at
phones.
the
And when you purchase them, you're
30,000 quantity
purchasing
price
them at
break
the
under
30,000
the government program.
quantity
So
price
whether you
break.
get one phone or
Under the
100
government
phones,
program. So whether
they're
you
gonna
get
be
one
the same
phone or
price.
100 phones, they're going to be the same price.
But there are some that are free.
Yes,
But there are some that are
every
free.
quarter.
Yes.
And this quarter is the iPhone 6, I'm sorry, the
This
iPhone
quarter is the
SE.
iPhone 6. I'm sorry, the
And on
iPhone
the Android
SE.
side, a Samsung
And on
S20.
the Android side,
5G
Samsung S20 5G phone.
How would this affect the ones that we currently have?
How would this affect the
How
ones that
would
we
this
currently
affect
have?
the phones we
sorry?
currently
How
have?
would this affect the phones we currently have? Would they be brought into this, or is there savings to be had there?
No, because again,
From
they're
what
on
we're currently
the
paying?
same thing on the
No,
government
because again,
program.
it's
So
the
there's
same-
2 or 3 ways
Same
to
thing
do
on the
this.
government program. So
You
there's 2
can
or
put
3
it
ways
on
to do this.
the existing
You
town
can put
line,
it on
a town
the
account.
existing town lines.
Another
a
way
town
is if you
account.
want to separate it off.
Another way is if you want to separate it off.
Account is on like a
The
sub-account
current
1, you
town
could create a
account is on
sub-account
like a
2
sub-account 1, you could
specifically
create a
for those
sub-account
phones.
2.
Or if you
Specifically
didn't
for
want to do
those
that, you
phones.
could create a whole new
Or
account
if you didn't want to do
just
that, you
for
could create a whole
the
new
office
account
that wants the
just
phones,
for
the department.
the office that wants
So
the
there's several
phones.
different ways to look at it.
department.
Easiest way
There's
is
several different ways to look
put
at
it on the existing
Easiest
town
way is
account.
put it on the
There's
existing
more lines
town
available.
account.
We wouldn't have to do
More
anything, we
lines
could just
available.
add them to that
We wouldn't
account.
have to do anything, we could just add them to that account.
And the voice services, the $34.99, that is just
Correct.
phone only, no texting, no.
Correct.
What does Verizon do?
What does Verizon do about public access requirements on saving
How does
data
that work?
regarding public business? How does that work?
You
Do
keep
you
that
store
data,
data
they
for the
keep it
government or?
separate, they keep it private,
That
if
data,
anybody
they
wants
keep it
access to
separate,
it, they
they
have
keep
to.
it to get that
But
information.
Verizon stores the data.
But Verizon stores the
I
data
have no
for how
idea.
long, do you know?
Thinking a minimum of 3 years.
What's the public access requirement?
What's the public access requirement?
Depends on what type of records we're talking about.
Okay.
And I've not seen what the retention policy is. We want to make sure that it lines up, or there's a way to capture that at some point in case there's a request later.
Are there any more questions for Mr. Potter? Gentlemen, are there any more questions for Mr. Potter? I think this gives us the information that we need. I know we're coming up in a budget cycle and going to have conversations on our budget, and we can throw this into the mix as we go. Is that acceptable?
Gentlemen,
Mr.
I
Potter,
agree.
thank you very much.
How soon can we have these phones?
Thank you.
How soon can we have these phones? I do have one question for you. How? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
45 East High and 40 East South Street, Jamie's Auto.
Janet Zimmerman. That was here,
Hey there.
I don't know, approximately 4 to 6 weeks ago. Brought up an issue that we East South Street.
Stormwater drain problem on
I
East
knew
South
that
Street.
Mr. Moore
I knew
had
that Mr. Moore
made some changes there as far as the blacktop, and he
made some
thought it would
changes
fix
there
the
as far as
issue.
the blacktop,
And
he thought it
in
would
my
fix the issue.
opinion, it definitely did not fix the
In my
issue.
opinion, it definitely did not fix the
Since
issue.
then, I brought it to the board, brought it to
Since
your
then,
attention.
I brought it to the
Was
board,
hoping
brought
someone
it
would
to your
step in and
attention.
do something about
Was
it.
hoping someone would
Mr.
step in
Moore
and
has
do
been back
something
one
about it.
time, as far as I
Mr.
knew,
Moore has been
to look
back
at
one
it
time,
during a
as
heavy
far as I
rain.
knew, to look
And
at
his
it
answer
during a
to me
heavy rain.
was, I think the
And his
problem's
answer to me
fixed.
was, I think the
And
problem's fixed. And
the town doesn't have the funds to fix
the
the
town
drain.
doesn't have the
That
funds to
he
fix
doesn't
the
have the
drain.
authority to
That
fix
he
that
doesn't
drain.
have the authority.
My
to
question
fix
was,
that
who
drain.
does the drain belong to?
My question
Does it belong to
was, who does the drain
Mooresville,
belong to?
or does it belong to
Does it
Jamie's
belong to
Auto?
Mooresville?
It's
Or does
70
it belong to
feet off
Jamie's
of the
Auto?
road.
It's 70 feet off
That
of the
tells me
road.
it's on my property. I said, is there an
That
easement
tells
for
me it's
it?
on
Is
my
the town
property.
responsible?
Is it, is there an easement for
No
it?
one's
Is
been
the
able to
town
answer that
responsible
question.
for it? No
Mr.
one's
Moore
been able
couldn't
to
answer that question.
Mr. Moore couldn't answer
Except
that question.
he said it ran from one end of the
Except
property
he
all the way
said
to
it
the
ran
other
from
end of
one
the
end of
property, under the
all the way
property,
to the other end
and
of the
that
property, under the property.
that storm drain was part of the
that
town.
That
Well, if
storm
that's
drain
true,
was part
then
of the
I
town.
told Mr. Moore
Well, if that's
that
true, then I told Mr.
the town's
Moore
responsible
that
for keeping up with that drain.
the town's responsible.
He
for
said, no,
keeping
that
up
drain's
with
on
that drain.
private property.
He
I
said,
said,
no,
now
that
wait a
drain's on
minute, now
private
we're
property.
contradicting ourselves.
I said,
Either it
now wait a
belongs to
minute,
the
now we're
town or it belongs to
contradicting
Jamie's
ourselves. Either
Auto.
it belongs to the
Someone's
town or it
responsible.
belongs to Jamie's Auto.
If we're responsible
Someone's
for it,
responsible.
I'll fix it.
If we're
It's not an
responsible
issue.
for it, I'll fix
I
it.
said,
It's not an issue.
it's coming onto the property
I said,
off of the street. We
It's
set
coming
on the
onto the
low
property
end
off of the
before you
street.
get to
We
the
set on
railroad
the
track.
low end
The railroad track
before you
goes
get to the
uphill.
railroad track.
So if we're on the low
Railroad
end of
track
South
goes
Street
uphill.
and there's
So
no
if we're on the
drains,
low end of South
where's
Street,
the water gonna
and
go?
there's no drains,
It goes to the
where's
bottom
the water
end
gonna go?
and it drains onto my
Goes to the
property.
bottom end,
Approximately
and it drains
70
onto
feet.
my property.
I don't
Approximately
use
70 feet.
that end of the parking
I
lot.
don't
I can't.
use
Because
that
if I
end of the
leave a
parking
car
lot,
parked
I
there
can't.
and we get over
Because if I
2
leave a
inches
car
of rain,
parked there,
we're
and we
flooded.
get over 2 inches
Those
of
cars are
rain,
flooded.
we're flooded.
So I
Those
can't
cars are
use that
flooded.
end unless
So I
I'm
can't
on
use
guard
that
to get ready
end
to move
unless
cars.
I'm on guard
What I
to
wanna
get
know
ready to move cars.
Is
What I want to
I was told a year ago that
is-
there was money allocated
told
to
a
the town.
year
Is
money,
going to be allocated elsewhere
is
because we
gonna
don't
be
have a
allocated
stormwater problem. I
elsewhere
said, but we
because
do.
we don't have a
And
stormwater
he's
problem. I
like,
said, but
right.
we do.
I see that now.
And he's like,
And he said,
right.
I can go
I see
back
that now.
and explain that we
And he
do
said,
have
I
a
can go
stormwater
back
problem up
and
there.
explain that we do
And maybe
have a
get those
stormwater
monies
problem.
moved to
And
get that
maybe get those
fixed.
monies moved.
I waited over
to
a
get
year
that
for
fixed.
that. Instead, I got new
waited over a year
blacktop
for that.
down the
Instead, I
street,
got new blacktop.
and I got my driveway
Down the
in
street,
and out of my property
and I got my
narrowed,
driveway in
and
and
more
out of my
water
property
dumped
narrowed,
onto my property.
and more water
I want to know
dumped
what the
onto my
town's
property.
willing to do about
I
it.
want to know what
Is
the
there
town's
funds for
willing
it?
to do about it.
I mean,
Is there
I see the
funds
sewer
for it?
can be fixed. If the
I
sewer
mean,
can be
I see
fixed,
the
we should be
sewer
able to
can be
fix the
fixed. If the
stormwater.
sewer can be fixed, we should be able to fix the storm.
When it's a bigger issue
When I
than
say
anyone realizes.
It's a
I
bigger issue
explained
than
at the
anyone
last meeting.
realizes. I explained at the last
When
meeting.
they flush the water
When
lines,
they
they
flush
turn on the main
the water
hydrant at the top of the hill.
They turn on the
They
main
run it
hydrant
for
at the
approximately
top
2
of
to
the
4
hill.
hours.
They run it
Sometimes
for
6.
approximately 2 to 4
The water
hours.
runs down
Sometimes 6.
the street,
The water runs
takes a
down
turn, goes
the
directly into
street,
the drain on my property.
takes a turn, goes directly into the drain on my property.
Yes,
Down South
straight
Street.
down South Street. Can we run
All
that
I
drain
asked
underneath?
was,
Can we put a
can we
drain
run
on the
that
street?
drain underneath?
Like
Can we put
is
a
on
drain
the
on the
other
street?
corners of the street,
Like
farther on the
is on
other
the
side
other
of the drain?
corners of the street.
Can we run a big
farther on the
drain
other side of the drain?
and run it under
Can we
and
run a
connect
big
into that?
drain?
I
and
said
run it
that would
under
fix
and
the
connect
issue.
into that?
I could build my
I said
property
that would
back
fix
up.
the issue.
There wouldn't be
I could build
ditches
my
and holes
property
in my
back
parking
up.
lot.
There wouldn't be
And it it wouldn't
ditches
be
and holes
affecting
in
my
parking.
blacktop.
And it wouldn't be affecting my blacktop.
I've spent hundreds of dollars,
I've
probably
spent
thousands,
hundreds of
putting
dollars,
blacktop,
probably thousands,
trying to
putting
repair
blacktop.
blacktop. I've
trying to
refused to put
repair
in new
blacktop.
blacktop years.
I've been a resident
I've
in
been to 2
Mooresville
of
for
these
60
meetings.
years.
The last
been
one
to 2 of
and
these
this one,
meetings.
and it's because I'm not
The
getting
last one and
answers.
this one, and it's because I'm
This-
not getting
I'm
it.
water
And where did the
drainage.
money go for this
I have one
water
other issue,
drainage?
and it's got to do with
I have
security
one other
and our
issue
police
that
that's going on
damages.
here in Tampa.
for the thefts that's
during the
going on
night,
here in town.
on the weekends.
During the night.
And it's,
on the
do we
weekend,
cost us several $1,000s?
And it did cost us
Someone
several
came onto our
$1,000s.
property, cut off catalytic
Someone came
converters.
onto
This
our
was about the
property,
fourth
cut off
time in 3
catalytic
years.
converters. This
The other
found
side of
one
the
of the
track.
cats or a
They
piece
took
of
it
one
as
of them on the
evidence.
other side of
That's
the track.
fine.
They
We
took
went
it
and
as
bought another
evidence.
one.
That's
We
fine.
fixed that
We
customer's
went and
car.
bought another one.
We
fixed that
have
customer's car.
constant surveillance
We
on our property.
have constant
2
surveillance
nights,
on our
the
property.
next week,
2
seen an
nights,
officer come
the
in
next
between
week,
1 and 3
seen an
a.m.
officer come in between
Actually, I
1
was
and 3
so
a.m.
proud of him. Actually got
I
out of
was
his
so
car
proud of him.
with a security
Actually
light,
got out of his
walked
car.
the property. That, we would
If we
have
had
a lot
more
less
like
issues.
that, we would have
I
a
am
lot
not the
less
only
issues.
small business
I am
that's
not
being
the
ripped
only
off.
small business that's being
We spent
ripped off
thousands
like
of
this.
dollars fixing those cars.
We spent thousands of dollars
And it's
fixing
not
those
the
cars.
first time, and I'm sure it
And
won't be
it's
the
not
last.
the first time, and
But
I'm
the
sure it
rounds
won't
have
be the
stopped
last.
again.
But the
There's
rounds
no
have
police
stopped
officers
again.
making rounds at night.
There's no
And I can
police
tell you that
officers making
because
rounds.
security beeps
And
every
I can tell you that
time
because
someone
security
puts
beeps every time someone
And like I
puts
said,
in a
I'm sure I'm not the other one. I think
And
John
like I
was the
said,
other one.
I'm sure I'm not the other one. I think
I
John
think
was
the
the
same thing has happened to John's
And I think the
business.
same thing has happened
Probably
to John's
time and
business.
time again.
Probably time and time
This
again.
week, thanks for the warning.
This week, thanks for the warning. What do we do?
Let's back up to the drainage. Where the catch basin is.
What?
Basin.
And
Is
if-
it?
No, I feel what?
I can actually bring pictures if I
We got a
have
map.
to.
I can actually bring pictures if I have to.
No,
Let
you-
you see. Figure out. I didn't even see Jay's.
Oh, okay, this is an old one.
Oh, okay, this is an old picture. All this is gravel. All this is been improved. It's all gravel now on both sides. This is your catch basin right here.
Like I said, that's a part of it.
Now, like I said,
Or
that's.
is it the round?
That's a whale look at that.
What's that?
I'm thinking it's.
I think it's a whale.
I'm thinking it's the square.
Yes,
Down here?
yes.
Yes.
And everything that comes from the top of the hill
And everything that comes from the top of the hill
crosses down.
comes down, crosses out, and dumps into that basin.
If it doesn't catch at all, and it's not built properly.
If it doesn't catch at
where's it
all,
going?
and it's not built
going on
properly,
down this driveway,
where's it
going
going?
to my
It's
property.
going on down this driveway,
And
it's
that's
going to my property.
blacktop up all the way
And
down
messing
the edge.
the blacktop up all the way down that edge.
I would
I'd like to blacktop all of it. I would like to.
But until we
do
decide
some
on
more
what to do with that
improvements.
drain,
But until we decide on what to do with that drain,
because it literally
I
makes
can't.
a ditch. It comes
because
down
it
my drive,
literally makes a ditch. It comes down my drive,
Now we
makes a
tried
ditch
to-
over to the drive.
When they did the blacktop.
Dave had when they did the blacktop, try to cut a curve.
Yeah.
I get up onto my blacktop.
Now,
That doesn't catch them.
it's filling up in my
Now,
neighbors across the street.
It's
where I
filling
believe
up in my
used to be
neighbors
storage.
across
I'm
the
not sure
street where I
what
believe
they're
there
doing
used to be
there.
storage. I'm not sure what
Now
they're
it
doing
builds
there
up
now.
over there. I'm talking
But
this.
now it builds up over there. I'm
And it
talking
crosses
this
the road
deep.
this deep.
And it
and
crosses the
stands
road
in the road.
this deep. And
And
it stands in there.
Literally, it's halfway
And
up a tire. when
Literally,
someone
it's
drives through.
halfway up a tire
So
when someone
when it
drives
builds
through.
there, it can't
So
even get over
when
the
it
hump
builds
to
there, it can't even get over the hump
I don't
to
want
drain
it.
to my property.
I want
I don't
it.
want it.
I want a street drain.
I want
I something
want a
to
street
catch it
drain.
where it's
I
supposed
want
to be.
something to catch
And
it
put
where
it
it's supposed to
into
be.
the storm drain where
And
it
put it into the storm drain where it belongs.
This is the grade of the catch basin. This is the grade of the catch basin.
I think that's it. It's
Right
either
there.
that or that little
That's
round
it.
spot there.
It's either that or that little
I'm not
round
sure
spot
about
there.
this.
Do I have it?
Is that sign? Because it looks like it's with a shadow right there.
Okay, then that's the drain behind it, because that is, I do have a sign.
Run a pipe to here.
I
What
have
is
a little
this? What
bit,
is this?
it's a sign. I have a little bit better area.
Okay, the drain's quite a ways behind the sign there.
Where does this pipe go?
Well, ideally, what you're thinking is, if there was a catch basin closer to the road, with a pipe going over underground into that,
And I could
What are we talking?
cover that.
And I could
finish my parking lot.
cover that,
blacktop
I could
everything.
finish my parking lot, I could blacktop the thing, and I wouldn't have to worry about
I
water.
don't have to worry about it.
I don't know where the $1 million that you're talking about as far as the money for. When you purchase prepared foods in the town of Mooresville. There's the council that approved that many years ago in the 80s gave a surface water drainage. We do have money in there. We do try to, is one of those spots. Dave, I think you had said that you didn't see any, we don't have a right of way to be able to run a drain to it from the road. Do you, is that, would that, where that is, where that 8-inch, 9-inch, 10-inch pipe, I don't know what's in.
In the car wash.
And I never could get those answers. I did,
And I never could get those answers. I did, and I will let you know that. I went to,
back to, all the way back to.
the title company is going back to.
I should have those answers for you in a few days.
I should have those answers for you in a few days. Either there is or there isn't.
What you're saying is you don't know whether this pipe here going whichever direction.
In the alley, there's a huge drain, a lot bigger storm drain over here in the alley.
I feel like after
This
looking down
drain,
in there.
I feel like after looking down in there, runs from here over to here,
Where
into
you
the-
thought it ran the other direction.
where you thought it ran the
I'm
other
sure the town
direction.
of Mooresville, maybe the street department.
I'm sure the town of Mooresville, maybe the street department could go raise the grade off of it and find
You
out
seem
for
to be
sure.
under the impression it's running toward the.
That south of Madison is connected to another ditch that goes out to White Creek. Connected to another ditch that goes out to White Creek.
Well, I know there's a big street drain right
Well, I know
there.
there's a big street drain right there on the corner.
I want to call it an alley, but it's actually a street.
I want to call it an alley, but it's actually a street right there next to Coors.
What is the name of that street?
Madison?
Yeah, street right
And
there.
I thought it would be that way too. But when
And
I
I
went
thought it
down
would
in
be
the
that way
hole,
too.
there's a
I looked down in
round
that hole.
tube that goes the other
There's a big
direction.
round tube that goes the other
Like it was
direction.
going off that main drain, and I
Like it
know
was going off that main drain,
in
and
the
I
alley sits
know
lower than mine.
that main drain in the alley sits lower than mine.
Point is, it doesn't take on water fast enough.
Point is, it doesn't take on water fast enough, and it will fill up.
Pond here then.
It
won't get rid of it.
It'll make even Whirlaway whirlpool
And just spins
whirl
into that drain.
and just spins going to that
It's
drain.
not even taking on.
So
all
it's not even taking on all that
And
it's
that's
doing. I mean, if we get a light rain, it's
If
not
they're
bad.
flushing the water lines, it's not.
If they're flushing the water lines, it's not bad, other than it's washing blacktop over into it.
I don't think there's any drains at all on that end of South
I
Street.
don't think there's any drains at all on that end of South Street.
There are drains, there's 4 right there in that intersection.
On the other side of the track.
Right there, on the other side of the track.
On the other side of the track.
The track is what's stopping the
Right.
water.
The track
And
is
it
what's
will
stopping the
build
water.
and puddle all
And
the
it
way.
will build
along the
and
track. All the way to
all the way
almost
along the
67.
track. All the way to almost 67.
Well, you're right, you did come before us before. And you're right, you did appear in here before. And quite honestly, we asked Dave to take a look at it. And 99 times out of 100, Dave can usually find a solution and get it taken care of. And we never hear back from it. In this case here, that 1%, we, well, no, and it's not do it right. That's the thing. And in this case here, Dave may be concerned with not seeing any type of easement on it. Even you said, is this something that previous landowners had put in? Maybe they saw something and they thought, well, we'll just run that over there in 1970. Is helpful for both of us. but it's also not the end all of fix all and end all by you saying,
Work together to fix it right.
and Dave will do that. I mean, I know, I get it.
Dave does good at this. I totally agree with you on it, and I think he's excellent at his job. But I think some other people are overriding him. I had, for instance, the blacktop. I had two lanes coming in. One going out, one coming in. The car could pass back. When they came back and they put the new blacktop back, it's down to one.
He told them, I told him.
He told them, I told him. I walked out there to the contractor.
You guys are gonna tear
He
that
said,
all
wait a
down.
minute, you guys are gonna tear that down. There's people living out.
Material to do it.
Now
We
it's
have
our
material.
So it's up there until the people off the street get turned
They
in,
have to go over in the ground.
and they have to go over in the ground, and sometimes the mud.
And I think it's sometimes it's terrible.
And I think it's sometimes
Here to catch it before it gets to us.
try to make it so the water will run past. But this still didn't fix the problem. The water still has to turn towards you.
Great.
But it doesn't mean it can't be figured out.
Are there drains up through here? There's drains here.
Connecting to it or how expensive that gets, I have no idea.
It's on this side of the railroad track, so if it
It's
actually
on this
runs
side of
the
the
other
railroad
way,
track,
I'm
so
sure
it
that
actually runs the other way, I'm sure that causes.
But that drain in that alley's gotta go somewhere.
But that drain
Seems
in
to me
that
like
alley's
it
gotta
could
go
feed into
somewhere.
here.
Seems to me like you could feed.
Even if you had to go all the way across the property to the
Even if
main
you had
drain
to
in the
go all the
alley.
way across the property to the main drain in the
Still
alley.
feed that
You can
stormwater
still
some direction.
feed that stormwater some direction.
Dave, sometime soon, can you, please, let's try to figure out, she's working with a title company. I know that you'd said you were looking for easements and right-of-ways. Let's try to figure out how this infrastructure's like.
If she finds out anything at all, which I don't think she
If
is.
she finds out anything at all, which I don't think she does.
Who knows?
Who knows, like you
Yeah,
said.
there's
back
there's
to
liable not to be
1920
anything at all
or
on it.
There's liable not to do anything at all.
This is a small one.
Could you tell, is that catch basin a manufacturer? Is it a board in place? Is it?
It is.
Probably done by a previous landowner. Imagine. But we don't have any, the storms down here south of Madison. How
So
those?
the one in the northwest corner of south of Madison runs at an angle. Corner of south of Madison runs at an angle. Yeah, somewhere that,
Back to
we
that.
looked up with the camera. We looked up with the camera to that catch basin, but it weren't able to run all the way up South Street in Madison and out the door and down South Street Madison. And then down, the creek is right
It
there.
may be.
That may
Be
be.
running a totally different direction than I think. I just know that main
And I know there's a tube coming off of
are
that.
headed that direction. I don't know if it goes all
Or
the way
headed
there.
that direction. I don't know if it goes all the way to that direction.
I will have the back truck, we'll clean that out, and we'll get a determination on which direction the water is flowing, direction the water is flowing.
Go from there. Have someone come to look at that. I'm
I've got
willing
someone
to
come to look
fix
at that.
whatever I
I'm
need to
willing
fix to keep it
whatever
from
I
being
need
a
to
mud.
fix to keep it from being.
I appreciate it.
One of us at least has a satisfactory
Okay.
answer. And
I
don't think
appreciate
either
that
one
very
of us
much.
do now.
Okay. I
Okay.
appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Neil,
Our security issue.
our security issue.
You know, I think if the thieves would work as hard at being honest as what they do at being
Yes.
thieves, we would all hire them,
Yes.
wouldn't we?
Yes.
I think our police force has in the past has done a great job. I think they, past administrations, including this one currently, this next administration would pick up something
Next
like that.
administration?
Next administration?
Well, we have tomorrow we
Great.
will have a new police chief.
Great.
And the council is to fund them, to appoint the police chief, and then the Metropolitan Police Commission from there oversees them. That is by statute. We can make kind and friendly recommendations. I know that a lot of the positive comments that I have received in the past were with the old notes of people. They used to just shove it in your door, or shove it under the door, or put it in the mailbox. Well, they never put it in the mailbox in case the postal system is listening. But you knew that an officer was there. You knew that someone was there. You would see the footprints in the snow. You would see the security cameras. You'd see them walking around. They can't be everywhere, but I swear at some point in time, it makes it a little harder for them. The police commissioner here tonight, the comments from the public help us, help make our department a little bit from Jamie's Auto. It's not common knowledge that everyone knows. But it's also one of those things where I'm sure the police department have a report of it and they know about it. So hopefully they will continue.
Well, actually, I don't want to embarrass anyone, but I will tell you about an incident on catalytic
converter rip-offs.
We sent a guy back in with his truck, loaded the catalytic converters.
Loaded catalytic converters.
Well, Jamie seen him on camera and headed that direction. While calling 911.
While calling
They
911.
cornered him. Casey's.
At Casey's.
And the guy towed Jamie and the guy
Takes
back.
Jamie's catalytic
And he
converters
puts
out,
them
or
back in
Jamie and the
Jamie's
guy
vehicle
does.
because Jamie's
And he
there by
puts
now.
them back in Jamie's vehicle because
There's
Jamie's there by
still
now.
more catalytic converters in there
Still
that don't
more
belong
catalytic
to us.
converters in there that don't
Instead
belong
of that
to
gentleman
us.
being arrested
Instead
or
of that gentleman
questioned,
being arrested,
he was
or
let go
questioned,
because he returned his
he
trash.
was let go because
Then
he returned his trash.
Brownsburg called the next
Then
day
Brownsburg
and
called
said,
the next day.
"Where is that guy?
And said,
We have a warrant
"Where
out
is
for his
that guy?
arrest. He's all over the
We have
news.
a
We've
warrant
been
out for his
looking.
arrest. He's all over the news.
We
We've
turned him
been
loose,
looking.
guys. What do we do?
We turned him loose, guys.
I'll ask.
What do we
I guess
do?
I'll ask the next police chief.
I guess I'll ask the next police chief.
Yeah. Why did we let him go?
Yeah. Why
And he
did we
was
let
on
him
the
go?
news.
That's what I was going to
And he was on the
suggest.
news.
Brock, there's an email for the new chief, right? It's chief at what?
I would email.
Very next
It
day,
was the
not
next
a week,
day.
not 2 weeks.
They called
It was
my
the next
shop and
day.
said,
They called
did he
my
have
shop
other
and
stuff in
said,
his truck? And I said,
did
no,
he
they
have
made
other stuff
take
in his
everything
truck?
out.
And I said, no,
They said
they
they
made
had
take
just
everything
served
out.
a
They
warrant
said
for
they
his
had
garage and
just
had over
served a
thousands
warrant
of
for
catalytic
his garage
converters.
and had over
And
that
should not have been
when
let
he
go.
was busted.
But we
He
let
should
him
not
go
have been
You
somehow.
let go.
have to question
But we
that.
let him
It's
go
like,
somehow.
You
oh,
have
he
to
didn't run his
question
name.
that. It's
What
like,
happened?
who didn't run his name?
And he was
What
let go
happened?
to do it again.
And
to
he
someone
was let
else.
go to do it again to someone else.
Good thing one of the police commissioners that can actually do something
is our
is
next police
sitting right there, so
Who is our next police chief?
Tomorrow.
he will be sworn in tomorrow.
If you didn't hear it, get it from Brock back there, just so you've got it, and I would contact him.
I appreciate it. And
I'll
thanks
either
for
way.
working on my
Appreciate it.
water
And
bill.
thanks for working on my water bill.
Dave, do you want to update us on the unkept properties?
To
He's
put a
putting
new roof on his
together money
building.
to put a new roof on his building.
He's trying. However,
He's trying
it's still in the same
However,
condition.
for many
The other
years.
property owner south of town,
The other
had some
property owner
assistance from
south of
Councilman
town,
Sweeney.
I tried to
Start
hire a
cleaning
crew to
the
come
property.
in and start cleaning the property.
I did drive by the other day and it did look like there were
I
maybe
did
a
drive
couple
by the other day and it
trailers
did look
pulled
like
off,
there were
so
maybe a couple.
a little bit of
trailers
movement
pulled
on that
off, so
one.
Little bit of movement on that one.
He did call me this morning. He did call me this morning and tell me that, that oil sample company that we got to clean up our property. We had a bunch of steel hauled off stuff, and he's laid up right now. When he gets back on his feet here in a week or so, he's gonna have to go over with him and let him know what's junk. And, but he's very receptive about cleaning things.
Yeah.
I think we're moving in the right direction there.
I feel the
So
same.
that's the summary of the conversations that we've
That's the
had.
sum.
Ed? You're in the audience. Ed? Calling you out. You're in the audience. I'm calling you out. Cleaning the property. Cleaning.
Part of the material on the property, part of the material on the property, approximately 3% required before it starts.
I think part of the concern.
If you're talking about the door area.
The front door, the side, the front door, the side, the back, across the street, pretty much everything. But then it kind of stopped, and I just don't know if we can expect to see that level of effort again soon.
Well, we'll talk about that a little while, and then talk about that roof arm when I said is they painted roof arms like that. They say it was 40 months rolling unless I'm told that was 40 months rolling unless I'm told.
Okay, what was the conversation?
So
Dave, what
we
was the
did
conversation?
speak mainly about the roof on his building. However, I
Mainly
did
about the roof
let him
on his
know that
building.
We
However,
were
I
getting
did
several
let
complaints
him know
about
that
the
we were getting
items
several
that he
complaints
has
about the
stacked
items
up
that he
around his
has
property.
stacked up around his property.
Eddie owns property on Washington Street. Is there anything? Eddie owns property on Washington Street. Is there anything anyone wants to say or ask of him at this time? Jeff? Shane? Effort of moving forward. I think there's been some concern across the street by the property owners that have been expressed. Okay. Okay. Conversation from the council. Conversation from the council. Any thoughts?
Continue to move forward.
Conversation at the last town council meeting was,
Conversation at the last town council
we were
meeting
moving
was,
forward with the legal,
we were moving forward.
so that's, I did.
Community crossings.
We found a little bit of a
We found
mess
a little bit
on
of a mess on
North Monroe Street. It appears that
North
the
Monroe
state of Indiana
appears that the state of
had went as far
Indiana,
as to,
that corridor,
they never had them recorded.
they never had them
So
recorded
with,
on Monroe.
we need to,
Um,
see if we
need
want
to-
to move that
that
item.
It'll be a little more
If there's a
fluent
bit of a
than
mess,
I am.
we have right of way, it's never
There's
been
a bit of a
recorded.
mess, we have right away,
I
it's
think
never
we
been up.
helping me with this.
Do you mind helping me with this?
Sure. Come up, maybe talk.
I don't think it's really
I don't think
maybe
it's
as bad
really
as what we think.
as bad
What the
as
issue
what
is,
we've
money
got
over the years with community
good
crossings, right?
money over the years with
So
community
trying to
crossings,
figure
right?
out how to improve
So
Carlisle
trying to figure out how to
and Monroe.
improve Carlisle
And you've
and
said
together
some of
is
the
that,
properties
as Dave said,
actually
some of the properties
have ownership to the center
actually
line of the road.
have ownership to
Now,
is do we clean that
why
up
we have the
now?
opportunity, why we might
Why
have
we have
some
the
need to take some
opportunity,
right
why we might have
or do
some
we
need
let that
to
go in
take some right of
perpetuity?
way.
Somewhere along the line, a judge has
Somewhere along
said
the line, a judge
right of
has
way is from
said
edge of pavement to edge of pavement.
right of
I
way
don't
is
agree.
I like to see
But
you
that's
side
kind
there.
of the dilemma
but
we're in.
That's
I
kind
don't
of the
think that's a
dilemma we're in.
decision that really needs
I
to
don't
be
think
made
that's a
this
decision
evening.
that really needs to
as,
be made
as
this
we
evening.
all I hope
as
no.
we all.
When we submit a
I
plan
hope
to
no.
NDOT
When we
for
submit
this,
a plan to
and we show
NDOT
sidewalks
for
on both
this,
sides, which has
and
been
we
the
show
discussion,
sidewalks
which
on
is
both
from a
sides,
safety
which has been the
standpoint, that's
discussion,
what we
which
want
is from
to
a
do.
safety standpoint.
We can make
that's
that
what we
work.
want
We
to
need
that
some
as we
guidance
move
from
forward.
the
We're
council,
gonna need some
from the
guidance
committee,
from the
as we
council,
move
from
forward.
the
And that's
committee
really,
as we move
that's really the
forward. And
discussion point.
That's really the
project's
discussion
gonna,
point. Town
Dustin's
then
doing his
puts in-
calculation,
Dustin's
300,000
doing his
plus, right,
calculation,
would be the match, the
300,000
way that
plus,
works
right,
out.
would be the
I
match,
think
the way
what
that
we need
works
to
out.
do is to
I
figure
think
out, hey,
what
can
we
we
need
move
to
forward
do
with
is to
that
figure out,
as
hey,
we
can we
move
move forward
forward,
with
as
that?
we do
These
Old
properties that
267
adjoin
here, Monroe,
Old
we'll have
267
better
here,
idea
Monroe.
of what
We'll
right
have
of way
better
needs we
idea
have
of
or
what
not.
right of way needs we
Like I
have
said, I
or
feel like
not.
we can make that happen.
Like I said, I feel like we can make
without
that happen.
securing right of way, except for
without
what we center and the subway and
shopping
the
center and the subway
right of way
and
we
the
identified
yeah,
that we needed.
right of way
takes
we
from.
identified that we
That's
needed
really
takes
the
from.
issue
So
at this point.
that's really the issue at this point.
Questions?
Down both sides.
The goal was to have sidewalks down both sides
Right
with
now,
a buffer.
so children walking.
Right now,
Trying to put a little
so he's trying to,
traffic in the
they're trying to put a
sidewalks
little
so that
space
cars
between the
aren't right on
traffic and the sidewalks so that cars aren't right on top of the children.
That's right.
But the issue of
And
the
so, but the issue of
property
the
owner owning into the middle of the street.
property owner
that's a
owning into the middle of the
problem
street, that's a
I think needs to be
problem
resolved
that
one way or the other.
I think needs to be resolved. An easement
It's in the microfiche.
was
because it's so
recorded,
old.
it was in the
It was not
microfiche because it was so
recorded on
old.
deed.
It was not
And the
recorded
title
on a
company
deed.
missed it. And
And the title company missed it, and I went down to the title company, I went down to their recorder's office myself and found the permanent easement. So it could be on the microfiche
printed
rather
on
than
these folks' deeds.
printed
But
on these folks'
You
deeds.
would have to do
But
title work to find that.
That's
you
right.
would have to do the title work
And
for
so the parcels already.
four or so
there'd
the
be
parcels
title
already,
work that would need to be
so
pulled
there'd
for
be,
additional.
or
Need
not.
that anyway to create the legal descriptions.
And you would
for
need
the-
that anyway to create the legal descriptions for
Right,
the,
if they're required. Yes, that's right.
If they're required. But
I
yes,
think
that's
the
right.
big
Community
week or
crossings
two,
and deadlines are another week or two.
If what we
Um,
submit, we have
if
to build.
what we submit,
within reason,
we have
right?
to
So if
build
we show sidewalks
within
on both
reason,
sides
right?
of the
So if
road,
we show
we're gonna
sidewalks
be
on
required
both
to
sides
build
of the
those
road,
sidewalks.
we're gonna be
We feel
required to
like
build
we can
those
make that
sidewalks.
work. The opportunity
I guess
to move
we
that
want
forward,
the opportunity to move that
as
forward.
part of that process, then we need to go
As
through
part
and
of
do
that
that title
process,
work
then we need to go
and
through
find
and do
out,
that
okay,
title
what is
work
the actual
and
right
find
of
out,
way?
okay, what is
And this
strip
is what I believe we
to
all
make it
would
safer,
rather
which is
see.
what I believe we all would
That's
rather
what
see.
will happen as we go through the design
That's what
process.
will happen as we go through the design process.
Indiana, they covered a lot of things when they said, "Here, take over our road, take over our liability." Is there any type of omission and errors that we should be able to go back to them and say, I mean, they were built with it, and here we are saying that they didn't do their paperwork correctly, and we're left holding the bag. It was a bad deal. Some responsibility there. The project is great, ready to move forward with the project, but I also, again, it's someone else shunning the responsibility of a contract that we have signed with them. Legal counsel, you're up.
Well, this is a new state, what that provides. I would think that there should be some section in there that speaks to what might happen by the state prior to conveyance or of responsibility for the road. And that's where I would start, certainly.
Not to be the attorney, because I'm not.
Not to be the attorney.
And I think
'cause
we've
I'm
worked on a
not.
few of these we
That
were already
three
taking,
of the
are
parcels
already
we were
an
already
issue
taking
that we were
are
going to clean
already
up.
an issue
What we
that we were
found
gonna
is we've
clean
done
up.
our due
What we
diligence
found is we've done our
research
due diligence
to the extent that we can
research
right now.
to
There
the
were another
extent that we
3 or
can
4
right now. There were another
that we
3 or
hadn't
4
intended on
parcels that we
dealing
hadn't
with.
intended on.
And like I
Doing-
said, right,
Bethel Road.
we can't
back in the day,
technically
right?
get outside of that edge
We
of
can't
pavement,
technically get outside that edge of
build
pavement,
our sidewalk issue.
and that's what has brought
So,
up the issue.
That's where we're
So,
at.
That's
I think
where
to
we're
your
at.
point,
I think to your point,
to just
the
deal with
process
it.
you requested,
So,
then to just
we don't
deal
know
with
that
it.
yet, but
So,
that's
we don't
what
know
I
that
would.
yet, but
Right now, It's our
as of
intent,
right
we're gonna
now,
overlay the
it's our
roadway,
intent, we're gonna
put
overlay the
curb,
roadway, we're
and,
gonna percent
it would
contingency
be
in
our
there.
thought then that as
It
we
would
move
be our
forward in
thought
that
then that
process,
as we move
we
forward
have
in that
discussions with the
process,
committee that's been
we have
created
discussions with the
to
committee that's
determine,
been
okay,
created
do we wanna
to
have a
determine,
grass
okay,
strip
do we
between
wanna
the
have a grass
sidewalk
strip
and the roadway
between
itself?
the- bring
To
all
do the
that back
basic
to the
project,
road,
we need to get
to do the
moving
basic
on that so
project,
we
we
can
need
get
to
filed.
get moving,
It
completed, or
doesn't
whether
matter
they're
in our
attached.
mind.
It doesn't matter.
We
in
know
our
we
mind.
can build it without
So,
getting right of
we know we
way
can
if
build
they're
it without
attached,
getting
right?
right of
That
way
might not be
if
what
they're
we want,
attached, right? That
but
might
we
not
know
be
we
one
can
way to be able
and
to
we
secure
still
the
have to be
funding.
accepted, but we haven't been
And we still have
denied
to be
yet.
accepted, but
We have a way to
way
that it
submit
works,
that
and then
know
work
that it
through whether
works,
it makes sense
and
to
then
separate
work
that
through
and have a
whether it
grass
makes
strip,
sense to
landscape
separate
strip,
that
or
and
not.
find this all the time.
And say, we're gonna put sidewalks, and we can build them out of concrete or gold bricks.
The issue is if that's
And
what
then
we
we
submit,
decide, we
and
can't
then
build
we
the
decide,
sidewalk on the east
we
side,
can't
which
build
is
the
where we need a
sidewalk
new
on the
sidewalk.
east, probably the big issue.
We can't, if we take that sidewalk
we
out,
can't- if we
we
take
probably
that sidewalk
get rid
out,
of the
we
entire
probably
program.
ADA compliant, sidewalks in there, as it's.
It already identified.
With the caveat, there
with
are
the
probably
caveat, there are
three
probably
parcels, I'm gonna say on the
three
east side,
parcels,
that the
I'm gonna say
right
on
of
the
way,
east
the current
side,
right of
that
way
the right
is
of
the
way,
edge of
current right
pavement.
of way
So we
is
would
the edge
have
of
to
pavement.
address those as
So we
part
would
of
have
the
to address-
project.
Or a
Yep.
retention wall, that's right out to the road that we've already had issues, is that correct? So we've already had one spot that they're saying,
Well, that is actually, based on our initial
That is
research,
actually
that wall
based on our
was
initial
built in the
research.
right of way.
That wall would,
we would say, hey, you gotta take your wall down, and then would we be responsible for paying for that wall?
For us to get the sidewalk,
The east side, for the east side of the sidewalk.
I don't know that I have a number for
I don't
that
know that I have a number for that
off the top of my head.
off the.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you think that's
Oh, it's probably more than that.
$100,000,
It's likely going to be more than that
It's-
because to
it's
get the
likely gonna be
sidewalk
more
to
than
fit,
that
we're going to
because
need
to get the
curb
sidewalk to
also,
fit,
and that's
we're
going to
gonna-
happen.
but do we risk the entire project? But do we risk the entire project on not?
From the retaining wall, which is north of
From the
Washington
retaining
Street, right?
wall, which is north of
Once we
Washington
get past
Street,
that
right?
property, it's that
Once we get past
set
that
of
property,
properties
it's
up
that
to
set
Carlisle where
to
we
the
have
center
to
line
deal
of the
with
road.
this
That's where we
right-of-way
have to
issue.
deal with, more or less, yes.
You think that's over $100,000 from Washington Street?
Yes.
Yes.
Curb,
It's really
sidewalks,
curb,
street pavement,
sidewalks,
drainage.
street pavement, drainage. Don't remember, I don't
Because we
believe
are
so.
going to have to acquire right of way.
Because we are gonna have to acquire right of ways, because when
we
we
were
did
heading
Merriman
down
Road,
that
we were
pathway.
heading
I
down
don't know.
that
Hopefully that all got
path. We were able
used.
to,
Community
we were able to
crossings
use
for that.
community crossings for that.
Approved you putting in the application.
I'm just explaining to the council.
I'm just explaining
you know,
to the
what-
council.
What do you guys want to do on this? You want to go ahead and put it with both sidewalks, spend the
Pretty
money?
typical.
That's pretty typical.
Now with the supply chain, you know, there might
With
be
the
some
supply
leeway
chain,
there.
you know, there might be some leeway.
that,
Scenario, we want
you
to
know,
have
grass
that,
strip, you know, that.
you know,
safe-
grass, we got a
and,
barrier
you know,
in there.
Hopefully everyone's okay with this. One of the things
Hopefully
we've
everyone's
talked
okay
about
with
is
this.
we
One
would,
of the things we've talked about
that
is we
roadway
would
is-
south to
the
Main
intent is
Street.
to skinny that up.
The intent
get
is
the
to
traffic
skinny
to
that
slow
up
down.
to get the traffic to slow down.
If you did it without the buffer, can you add?
If you submit it without the buffer,
Yes.
you can add the buffer later.
Yes.
But
Well, it
wouldn't be
won't
part
be
of the
anyway.
agreement. It'd be,
Well, it
See, the
won't be
right of way
anyway.
takes,
See, the right of way
purchasing the right of
takes,
way
the-
is not grant
purchasing
eligible.
the right of way is not grant eligible.
We can summarize coming
And
up
we can
with,
summarize what
so
we're
you can
coming up
understand
with.
what we're looking at. We
So
can
you
put
can
costs
understand what
associated.
we're,
It's gonna
somebody
go out
was
and
gonna,
secure
maybe
right
it
of
was
way on
Dave
your
was gonna
own.
go
but-
out and secure right of way on your own, but.
I'll go ask.
I don't know.
That cause a problem?
I don't know. things, but if they've
for
turned
their
it over
use,
to town,
I would
for their
believe that
use,
you have
I would
leeway on what that
believe
use
that
can
you
be.
have make that change.
So it sounds to me like you submitted with the two
So it sounds to me
sidewalks,
like you submitted with the two sidewalks.
title work to find out where
We
we're
need to
really
pull
at.
title work to find out where
And
we're
then we
really
need the town
at.
attorney to,
And then we need the town attorney to review the contract
regarding.
with the state regarding the road
to see
when they
if
turned
there's
it
any
over,
remedy for the.
to see if there's any remedy for the.
We believe that's the way to move forward.
We believe that's the way
you
to
want
move
sidewalks
forward.
on both
If
sides,
if you want sidewalks on both
that's what we need
sides,
to do. If you only want a
that's
sidewalk
what
on
we
the
need
west
to do.
side,
If you only want a sidewalk
it
on the
clears
west
up
side,
a lot of the items
it
on
clears
the
up
east
a lot
side,
of the
right of
items on
way
the
and-
east side, right of way.
But this becomes a gateway,
Right.
so it's
This
really,
becomes a gateway,
kind of
so
a-
it's really, kind
some,
of a.
you guys need to guide us on what
Some-
you want to do.
You guys need
That's
to guide
really
us
what
on what
it
you want
amounts
to do. That's really what it amounts to.
It becomes a gateway that we narrow down. So much for that gate swinging wide.
It's so we can get traffic to slow down, Tom.
It's so we can get traffic to slow down, Tom.
Do you have any input on what you heard?
Yeah.
Me?
Like on a pro, on a.
Yeah,
how to
I
proceed
Like
think-
on how to proceed forward?
Yeah, I think that strikes me as a good plan. I'm imagining, not having reviewed the agreement with the state, but I'm imagining that this discussion has highlighted both aspects of it. One, you probably got what you got from the state. So that responsibility to fix any right-of-way issues that you may encounter when you go to enhance a road or add sidewalks, it's probably gonna be on the town. And I wouldn't want you to end up being too optimistic that there's some way to recover the cost of doing so from the state. Now, we're glad to look at it. However, I think you also probably got a fair amount of control over the road and how it's treated, just like Jeff mentioned with regard to truck traffic and restrictions and whether you add sidewalks and how you use it. So you're kind of seeing that it's a two-way. That's a bad pun, but it's a two-way street there. You've got the responsibility. For better or for worse. Sometimes it's a little bit of both.
As far as restricting stuff, but this is actually doing something with the infrastructure of the road.
Yeah, and it would be prudent. Yeah, and it would be prudent to make sure that there's not some specific restriction to that degree. But that's often part of the bargain. Is that they would have some baseline expectations about it remaining a road, but I'm hoping and expecting that there's some flexibility beyond that basic charge.
There's 165,000 that the.
There's
town-
165,000 that the town got from the takeover, correct? Can that be used to correct this problem as well?
I don't know what the agreement was.
I don't know what the agreement was for that money, but
Yeah, I don't either, and I wouldn't want to speak to that too much without having seen it, but to the extent that that came to you as some manner of fungible cash that could be appropriated for that purpose, then I don't know of some countervailing reason you couldn't use it.
Half of that was for the 1.1 miles in Mooresville.
Yeah.
The other half was for the 9.98 miles in the county. The county gave us that. So $165,000 for 2 miles. How much did Plainville get for their 4 miles?
20.5 million.
Something like that.
20.5 million.
Should have had their negotiator.
Go figure. Well then, do we want him to move on with 2 sidewalks? Or do we want to limit the chance of losing it? Because again, we
Right,
have to
and,
do
and the
what we
issue
said.
is,
Right, and
just
the
so
issue
everybody
is,
knows, we have
just so everybody knows,
4
we
additional
have
properties than what we thought
additional
originally, at a
properties
minimum
than what we
4,
thought
based on our
originally,
preliminary
at a minimum
research,
4, based
that
on
we're
our
gonna have to get
preliminary
right of way
research,
from, right?
that
and
we're gonna
clean
have to
up.
get right of way from, right? And
That
clean
could
up.
mean that they don't
That
want
could mean
to
that
grant
They
right
don't
of way, and
want
we
to
might have
grant
condemnation.
right of way, and we might have
I'm just telling you worst
condemnation.
case scenario. That I don't
I'm
think
just
that's
telling you
anyone's
worst case scenario. I don't think
expectation,
that's
but
anyone's
to do this, that's what we're
expectation,
gonna have to
but
deal with.
To do this, that's
potentially.
what we're gonna have to deal with, potentially.
Just tell them that if they don't want to grant that, then
Yeah,
their section.
there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but we don't get to do any of it. If we don't do what
That's
we're
right.
saying, we don't get to do any of it.
That's right.
That's why I didn't know if we should try to. That's why I didn't know if we should try to do that part outside of the grant with our own money.
And that is an option.
Because if
And that is an option.
Because if it is a scenario where we do have to take it to court and it drags out for more than a year, we lose the grant because we didn't do the project within a year.
And now you're starting to get into legal
Now you're starting to
things,
get into
but-
legal things, but
No,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a realist about it.
yeah.
Well, and that's, and here again, that's where we're getting into
Well,
legal
that's-
things, that's
here
where
again,
CAM
that's where we're getting
gets
into legal
involved.
things. That's where
You know,
CAM
could we get a
gets
right of
involved?
entry to
You
do
know,
the
could we get a right
construction,
of
knowing
entry
that we're
to do
going
the
through
construction,
that
knowing
process?
that we're going through
Seen that happen
that
before,
process.
just
Seen that
talking
happen
about
before.
options.
Just talking about options.
We're in that right now. Comments?
I like the two sidewalk idea. I mean, that was the. I like the two sidewalk idea. I mean, that was the original plan. I mean, I don't want to lose the grain either, you know, so. And without knowing how much it's gonna cost to do the other part on our own. I don't know, Mark seemed to think that he could do the two sidewalks. He just wanted.
That's right, two sidewalks, but it's
That's right.
within the right of
Two
way
sidewalks, but
corridor.
it's within
And we
the
don't have a
right-of-way
grass strip,
corridor,
and you know, at the
and we
end of
don't
the
have a
day,
grass strip, and you know, at
even
the end of the
securing
day,
a right of way, we might not
even
have the grass strip.
securing a right
just
of
so
way, we
everyone
might not have the
understands
grass
that.
strip, just so everyone understands that.
So I think you submit it without the grass strip.
So I think you submit it without the grass strip
Know the grant
so that we
is
know the grant
and we deal with the
is
grass strip
secured
outside.
and we deal with the grass strip outside.
The contract just to
And we
make
have
sure
the attorney review the contract just to make sure, with the state, just to make sure,
title work
and we order title work
and try to get the right of ways.
and try to get the right of ways.
We'll have that one area. And we'll have that one area that you're talking about that we're going to go in and we're going to destroy property that they've landscape done, retention wall. Either way, we're going to say whether we have the right of way and we're going to do it. At that point in time, if they build on the right of way, do we owe them anything?
I thought Mark was really trying to.
I thought Mark
Let
was
me
really
say
trying to
this.
do-
Don't answer
me
that.
say this.
We have
Don't answer
have
that. We
money
have-
in
we
the
have
estimate to
money in
replace
the
that wall,
estimate
move and
to
replace it,
replace
okay?
that wall, move
I don't
and
think we need to
replace it,
answer that
okay?
question today.
I don't think we need to
We've
answer
allowed
that
for
question.
that scenario. How
We've
about
allowed
that?
for that scenario.
There we go.
That makes me feel a lot better about
They've
it.
known about that.
Yeah.
They've known about that from the start, been trying.
We've allowed for that
really
case.
wanted to-
We've
If it
allowed for
happens.
that
Homeowner.
case, if it happens.
So then we just need to move over. I mean, we don't have to do
With
anything.
what we
We just move
submitted
forward with
previously
the
and
sidewalk.
What we
started
submitted
down the road
previously
of looking at title work
starting
to see
down
if
the
we
road of
can,
looking at title work to see if we can.
Do we need a motion?
well, we
to
don't
do
have a
title work, or-
proposal to you guys.
Well, we don't have a
so-
proposal to you guys.
Okay, so you're gonna bring that back next meeting?
Well, you know, it's really, you know, those attorneys
Well, you know,
and
it's
title
really, you know,
companies
there's
is more so
attorneys
than
and
us.
title companies that's more so than us, but,
All right, thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
I've said enough.
Anything else?
I think we've said enough.
Matt? Brock?
Evening. Tomorrow, the new chief, Kerry Buckner, gets sworn in this building, 4 p.m. You have all been invited, but I'm going to invite you again. It's open to the public as well. 4 p.m. here. Afterwards, there will be gathering, meet and greet downstairs in the basement, food and drinks, things like that. We are going to start a hiring process for the vacant officers. That'll be posted on our Facebook and all the appropriate places starting Thursday. It'll have the chief's contact, it'll be on our Facebook. So it'll have his new email plus his personal email, it'll all be on the page. Thursday at 8 a.m. is when it'll go live.
Thursday at 8
Officially
a.m. is when
start
it'll go
hiring
live.
the new
That's when
officers.
we'll officially start
That'll probably be
hiring
open
the
for
new
3 weeks,
officers.
and then we'll take those
That'll probably be
applications
open
and
for
go
3
with
weeks, and then we'll
Carrie,
take those
obviously, will
applications
run
and go
with
with it. Carrie obviously will run with
That's all I
it.
got today.
But that's all I got today.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Legal.
Yeah, I did talk to Ashley about this transition plan for public rights of way, and that's something that she will be glad to address with you at your next meeting. She's working on that. I know it's been discussed previously. So I think the update is she'll continue her work on that relative to compliance and that transition plan. And apart from that, I don't have anything further.
Public comments. Motion for approval of payment of claims.
Make a motion, we approve claims in the amount of $3,570,841.20.
And 3570.
3,570,841.20.
In that, there is a $2 million payment.
In that, there is a $2 million payment of the ban. So when we spend $3 million, it is actually moving money that came from one source to another. Motion been made, do I have a second? Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Dustin and Greg, 5-0. Town council comments.
I've none.
I have none.
Nate?
I have none.
Greg? Dustin?
Nope.
The council struggled through again tonight on commitments that were made and not kept. We'll try to build a good town. We'll try to limit our comments, and I'll try to limit my comments to we still have good contractors that do what they say they're going to do when they're going to do. Next meeting date will be Tuesday, September 6th, 6:30 right here. That will also be a hearing on our budgets. Not a hearing, just a public input, and our department heads will present them. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And Greg, 5-0.